I'm branching out a little bit here today, trying some new things. And today I'm having my very first guest. You may have seen her on X, where she does an amazing job breaking down the court filings in the Baldoni versus Lively case. And I was scrolling through X the other day, and I saw a post that she had up about the situation with Brett McDowell and I don't know if it's Eiko, I guess she'll correct me in just a moment, Eiko Ishiwata. And I hadn't heard anything about this story. And I was like, I've got to know what's going on here. This sounds really, really juicy, really, really interesting. And it sounds like somebody's story needs told. So I kind of read through it a little bit as I was preparing the slides today. But I'm still a little bit, I don't know quite all there is to know about this story. So I reached out to Leanne and asked her if she'd like to join us today because she's actually spoken to these people. So she's got all the deets. And let's welcome Leanne.
Hi.
To the show. Hey, Leanne. So you've actually talked to these people, right?
I have. Just to correct you, it's Eiko.
Oh, Eiko. Okay, I said it wrong. Sorry about that. I was
No.
afraid. I had a 50-50 chance to get it right. But everyone,
I made the same mistake.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I can speak some Chinese, but I can't speak any Japanese, so I wasn't quite sure how to pronounce phonetically. It's Japanese, correct?
Japanese, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So this is Leanne on X, which I still call Twitter, because it just makes more sense to me. But yeah, if you don't follow her, make sure you do that because she does a brilliant job breaking down each new filing as they come out. And so that's her. But this is what we're going to talk about. Leanne, I don't know if you wanted to go through this disclaimer real quick, just kind of sum it up, or if you want
to. I'm gonna just give a very because this needs a disclaimer for everyone.
Okay.
But
okay. Yeah,
just to be really clear, this is Brett and Eiko's story, and I am just kind of helping them to articulate it. I think that they did their own post, and people found it quite hard to follow. So I've come in, I've learned about the story, and I've said, look, I tell you what, how about I just redo this in one of my threads and, break it down a little bit slower and a little bit easier to follow for you. And to be very, very clear, no one has been accused of anything. They have questions, because there are some similarities and some familiarities with things that they've seen. And obviously, I mean, they've been raising their story long before this film come out. So, I think, and now we've learned more with imitation, with Justin Baldoni and the Nice Poll, and we'll get to the Dogpool bit in a minute, but they have genuine connections as well. These are not just people who do not know Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, there is no allegations, no accusations being made of any kind. Brett and Eiko are just looking into the situation, asking some questions, and they have recently sent a letter to the court to basically say, we are a non-interested party. Please preserve any discovery that's relevant to us.
Nice. So these documents.
Yeah, I'm here to talk to you. Sorry, go on.
These documents were actually filed in the Justin Baldoni case?
Yes. I don't know if they're not on the docket at the moment, but they have been sent to Judge Lyman and to the Wayfarer lawyers, to the Marvel lawyers. I don't know if they've gone to Ryan Reynolds' lawyers.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Are there any other disclaimers that need to be made, or?
No, I think that sort of sums it up. That no one is being accused of anything at this point. It's just it's their story.
Okay. Good. All right, we got that. Okay, let's meet this beautiful lady.
This is Eiko. I love Eiko. So Eiko is she's so talented. She's a Japanese Canadian composer predominantly, but she also works in sort of visual arts, sort of video games development, and yeah, she's just absolutely wonderful. But yes, so I mean, she's done work for oh, I think the film was called Recoil with Stone Cold Steve Austin. She did the theme, the closing theme music for that, and she's done some uh instrumental versions of the Final Fantasy music.
Oh wow, the video game?
Yeah,
It's a video game, right?
yes.
Wow.
Yes, I think it's the video game because I know there's film versions as well, but I think it's the video game.
Wow.
Um,
Impressive.
I know she's been composing from and working on sort of art for since quite a young age, actually.
Oh wow. Shall I go on to the
So,
next one?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
And
so this is her. This is just her sort of credentials. So yes, it is Recoil was the
oh, she's
film.
done quite a few things
Yes, she has.
for
She
since
has.
2005, it looks like. Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So we can find her on IMDb, so she's legit.
She's very much legit. Yes. She may be
Okay.
credited, by the way, as Eiko Nichols as well, her married name. Some of her work is credited as that. I've had a few people say, "Oh, it's not the same person." Yes, it is the same person. It was just she was just married at the time to someone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw the
So go on.
I saw the name Chris Nichols when I was putting this together, so I know who you're talking
Yes.
about. Yeah. And
So
this gentleman,
this is Brett Douglas McDowell. So Brett is he's proudly Indigenous. Red River Métis. I would just got to make sure I say that right because that's the bit I normally can't say.
okay.
Um, so he's an Indigenous Canadian. Again, he plays multiple instruments, and he's a video game developer. He's also a former military veteran. So yeah, he's got quite the CV as well. Um,
I see
now
he's moved
where
all over the
he
world.
oh yeah, he's worked all over the place. Um, he's he sort of comes in. I mean, he deals with a lot of production and you know with films and movies. He's kind of been in part of the crews. Um, Obviously, the big point here with the story is he was in as a stand-in slash stunt double for Deadpool 2. He
Oh,
worked
so
he worked
that's
with Ryan Reynolds.
so he worked with Ryan. What about Eiko? Did I
Well,
say
there's a
that?
different connection.
Okay, a different connection. Okay, I won't get ahead of the story then. So he actually has physically worked on Deadpool
He has
2.
physically worked with Ryan Reynolds on Deadpool 2, yeah.
Okay. Was he
Um,
Ryan's stunt double or someone else's?
I'm not sure. Do you know, I try not to ask these questions.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I'd love to, but yeah, I probably should ask him. But I'm not sure. I know he was in a scene with with Ryan Reynolds and the actress who plays Vanessa, is it? I can't remember her name,
Yeah,
but
there's
he
Vanessa.
yeah.
I've not really watched. I'm not a
No,
Deadpool fan. That's not my sort of entertainment.
no. Well, I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy the films. I do. Um,
I
but
love the
yeah, I'm
Avengers,
not.
but I just don't like
Yes,
cool. Yeah.
I don't like it as much as I used to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we can
And
see
then
his marketplace here too for his work. He does indigenous beadwork. Oh, I missed that the
yeah,
first.
they
And he
both
also
do
does
actually.
music.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, he's very, very proud of his heritage, and he sort of works with, does a lot within the community and advocating for, especially with Indigenous representation in the film industry, and trying to make sure that there's, an accurate depiction of his cultural sort of elements.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell
So,
us about this.
obviously there is the backstory of that Brett was in Deadpool 2, that filmed in Vancouver in 2017. Now, Eiko in 2017, she went to a game developers conference in San Francisco, and while she was in the booth, she became unwell, quite acutely unwell, um, and began to sort of experience symptoms that were perceived to be like a spike in of a drink.
Oh,
So she sort of felt a bit kind of dizzy and disorientated. So she made the organisers of the event aware of this, um, and tried to get some help and some support. And it didn't go as well as she was as well as it should have been, really.
yeah.
It did later actually turn out that there were quite a few people who had their drinks spiked at that event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few more women come back forward later on, and you know, sort of said, yes, my drink was affected. I had the same effects.
So
So
where was this? It's a games booth. So what is it like?
yeah,
Kind of like Comic-Con, but for
but for
games?
gamers, yes,
So
yeah,
were they ever able to track who was there doing
no,
that?
no, that they weren't able to track anyone specific. Well, no, they weren't able to track anyone, and they're certainly not accusing anyone here
Right, right.
of being responsible for that. I think their concerns is that, you know um, what happened at that conference. There was someone of relevance there, and basically, one of the episodes, certainly of Mythic Quest, was almost identical to, apart from the actual drug in itself, there was a lot of features, but we'll get to that.
Okay, we'll get to
I'm
that.
getting ahead of
So,
myself
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I know I've got all these questions because I threw these slides up, but I didn't really stop and read everything because I wanted to like hear the story as you were telling it. Okay.
No, that's
So,
fine. I mean,
so we have to
there is,
keep this connection about Wrexham in mind as we go on to the next story, right?
yeah, because obviously you got Ryan Reynolds is involved in Free Guy, Deadpool 2. Rob McElhenney is involved with Mythic Quest. So, and they obviously are partners together. They co-own Wrexham AFC,
Okay.
and you know, I think Rob McElhenney was actually in Deadpool and Wolverine as well, but his scene was cut.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew he was the partner for Wrexham, but I didn't know he was also involved with Deadpool.
Yeah. So this is the first story we put out, and the reason I picked this one is because it's specifically relevant to the kind of lawsuit with Justin Baldoni. In that, obviously in his situation, the allegations were that Nightpool was, you know, a character is based on him. It was intended to mock him,
Right.
and I picked this one here for Brett's story specifically because it's so obvious.
Look at that tongue.
And I worked with it.
That was the only dog in the
That's
world
how
with a tongue like that.
it's the most adorable dog. Yeah, so Dogpool. And I worked with I got to give a mention to Ashley Brianna Eve, who did a phenomenal video going through this in graphic detail. But it was incredibly clear to put in front of people and say, well, look, the dog pool that ended up being the dog pool was not anything like the comic version.
Oh
And then
yeah, I
you
have
bring
that
in,
picture. Yeah. I'll go ahead and flick to that so people can see what you're talking about.
yeah, so this is
I'll
the
come
comic
back.
version.
So this is what
That was,
Dogpool was supposed to look like. Is that correct?
yes,
So is
yes,
this an actual Deadpool comic?
this is an actual Deadpool comic.
Okay, so this is supposed to be
And
the dog.
so
And
this is
somewhere
supposed to be a
along the
dog.
line, we
Yeah,
come
then a
to,
change was made. And we got here the dog pool on the right is the dog pool from the film.
mm-hmm.
The dog on the left is Brett's service dog, Starbuck. Now,
So this
Starbuck
service dog,
attended.
go ahead. I think you're
I was
about
just
to
going to
answer
say,
my question.
Starbuck was. It's hard to navigate this, but yeah. So Starbuck was actually, on the set of. She would go and visit on the set of Deadpool 2.
Because she's a service dog, right? So
Yes,
everybody
she's
saw
service
this
dog.
dog. So everybody saw this dog
Yep,
in Deadpool 2. Okay. And then Dogpool doesn't show up till the third Deadpool?
the third Deadpool.
Okay.
And it looks. I mean, the comic version looks like a dog, which looks like he's got quite a fierce attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, he's outsmarted the other Deadpool variants and locked them up by the look of it. He's got the key, but
Mm-hmm.
in the dog pool that we have doesn't.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't
look
really
like
have
that at
any of
all.
the. Yeah, it has none of those features at all. It looks like it wouldn't be able to help you at all. I don't mean that, because I know that obviously Starbuck is a service animal, and
A different kind of service, though.
yes, different
Not
kind
a
of
superhero dog. A different kind of superhero, right?
exactly, yeah. But I think that was when that particular story really stood out to me. And I think that's when we presented that on its own, away from any of the rest of the story, we got people finally actually looking and going, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, especially knowing that the dog was on the set for Deadpool 2, and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
its likeness, well, very similar to
it's
its likeness, appears in Deadpool 3. So this is
exactly.
Ashley you were talking about, correct? Ashley did.
Yes,
So I don't know if you guys know Ashley Brianna Eve or if you follow her already, but she does really good breakdowns too. And you said she covered this extensively?
she did. Yeah, she did.
Okay. I haven't seen that one yet, but I do watch her.
Oh yeah, no, there is. I mean, yeah, there is a link there, but it's about a half-hour long video. So I do recommend people go and have a
Oh,
look
okay.
at
All
that
right, I'll
because she
find
has
it,
some.
and if I remember,
Yeah,
I'll put it in comments, a link for people to watch
awesome.
later. Okay, so Mythic Quest. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. So here there is So when Eiko was at this
Oh, wait a minute.
conference,
Wait, we got Brett here. We
oh
got
okay.
Brett here. Brett's
Oh,
here. Hey,
she
well,
wasn't.
welcome, Brett.
Oh,
Were your ears itching? We're talking about you. So can you
I
can you let us know? Um,
might have been photos then that we're being shown of her.
yeah, I want to make sure we get this correct.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ears on fire. You heard us talking, huh? Starbuck told you, right? Okay. So we'll wait for him to see if he'll give us a little more information about that, about Starbuck on the set. Okay, you want to go ahead with Mythic Quest? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So Yes. So when Eiko was at the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, and she experienced the symptoms that she was having, and she reported this as that. Now Eiko was okay. There we go. That's the missing link. So there was a guy who was attending the conference as well. Again, no allegations, but this guy was Jason Vandenberg. Now, Jason Vandenberg was formerly the creator of Ubisoft. Ubisoft were the company who produced Mythic Quest. Rob McElhaney was, I think he was like the main character Ian, and the character of Ian was actually alleged to have been based on Jason Vandenberg. Is there another slide? So the characters are, you can see there's some similarities here. On the top, on the one and three are the actual, they're the characters Paul. Paul is one of the game developers in Mythic Quest. And then photos 2 and 4 are Brett. And then similarly on the bottom, you've got Eiko, who was when she was actually, I don't know if this was at the GDC convention before she became ill, or if it was just around the time. But then on the right, you've got the actress who plays the character Poppy, and what Brett and Eiko sort of picked up was that they were strikingly similar, but season one's fourth, thank you, Brett. Season one's fourth episode is called The Convention. And in this episode, it has a character which is named Eiko, it's spelt slightly different, but it is pronounced the same. Is there another slide? So here we've got a picture of at the top left, on the left. The top left on the left is Eiko, because you can just kind of make out the Final Fantasy on the right hand, or just off to the right of her head is the Final Fantasy logo.
I see.
And then on the top right photo is the character Eiko. Clearly, it's a woman of very similar ethnicity. I couldn't say for definite it is a Japanese woman, but certainly an Asian. Looking quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's lines in the episode, that I think caused a bit of alarm. Things like we can make her do whatever we want, and they were referring to the character Eiko. Is there another slide for this one?
Yeah,
Or
so you said that in the scene it seems to allude to what happened to Eiko at GDC.
yeah,
So there's like a drugging situation?
it doesn't actually. It's not the dragon bit is not in the episode, but it's the character's got an almost identical name. Looks very similar to Eiko herself, and they are sort of talking about making her do what we want.
Okay.
So this is Free Guy. So Ryan Reynolds was obviously in Free Guy.
Okay.
Free Guy, I think so. Yeah, Akon's own words there. I'll use her words. Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy reflects elements of our story. The movie's plot revolves around two game developers, one male, one female, whose intellectual property is stolen. the main characters bear some likeness to Brett and myself, and they do a little bit.
Yeah, I can.
Certainly the male one does,
Mhm.
but the female one has, if you're looking from behind, you could possibly look similar too. So Free Guy is about NPC. I think that's non-player characters, if I'm right. I'm not a video
Yeah, I'm
game
not either.
star, but the main is it was the main romantic subplot about two developers. Their intellectual property was stolen, and they secretly were having a relationship together whilst all this was going on. And
Okay.
that's what's happening here in the film, because I watched it the other day just to refresh myself before I wrote my thread.
Hmm.
Um, um, this is what exactly what that is basically is two games developers. They develop a game. Uh, they're in a they have feelings for each other.
Okay.
Um, and when I spoke to Brett and Eiko, it felt to them uh, like it was sort of it was based quite similarly on their real life.
Okay. Okay. So the storyline, what you're saying is the storyline in Free Guy is very similar to Brett and Aiko's actual story while they
Yeah.
were. Okay. Okay.
And
Got it.
Ryan Reynolds come out himself and sort of said, well, it's based on a true story. He made a couple of comments
I,
about that actually.
okay. I've got actually the video clip I lined up. Hold on.
The true
Awesome.
story, which I think makes it all the more powerful.
What?
It definitely feels true, but like an emotional truth there.
Yes.
Totally.
Emotional truth.
Yeah, there's a universal
Totally.
truth.
Right.
So while it's not actually a true story, that does not detract from its power.
No, for sure. I think what Sean means is that like a lot of true stories we took our own kind of artistic liberties, but I think we made it more entertaining, really.
Ryan, it was all artistic liberty.
Did you think this was real when we were filming? Ryan, you play a video game character, man. Come on now.
Yeah. Named Guy, who is real. I spent time with him. He lived in our house.
Ryan, who was living in your house?
Okay. Okay.
So
So
missed a little bit at the front start then, which is where Ryan Reynolds actually says this is a true story.
yeah. Yeah. Right at the beginning, he said. So
Mm.
who are the people who were connected to the actual story that were also connected to making the Free Guy movie?
Eiko's ex-husband is one of them.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Here's just an article I saw, just that. But see, this is the thing with Ryan and with Blake. They do so much. A lot of the little things that they say here and there often have truth behind them. So,
Yeah.
even though he's pretending something, sometimes there's truth behind what it is that's being said. So Free Guy,
Yeah.
okay, so here's where you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So I should probably say as well that during there were at the time there were issues with when Brett did raise a formal complaint against Ryan Reynolds. So there were issues that were going on. But yes, we already knew that Eiko's first husband, again, we're not accusing him of anything.
Right.
But her first husband, Chris Nichols, is he's a visual artist. I'm sure Brett will correct me, but he's like a painter, and he designs characters. Um, he worked on Free Guy,
Okay.
and basically we knew that, but he's not credited for it on his IMDb. He was, but that has now disappeared.
Okay.
What we did find out though was he was credited for his work on Deadpool and Wolverine, which is
Okay.
where Dogpool also appears.
Ah,
So there is that.
okay.
I think. Go on.
So people who were involved in like the game creation crossed over into this film, whether it be
Yeah.
Free Guy or Deadpool. So when you're creating a story, a lot of times a story from scratch, you do pull
Yeah.
from things that you've experienced, things that you've seen. So here we have her, this is her ex-husband, Chris Nichols. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's
he,
right. So she's you can see up the top left, it's the Free Guy end credits.
yes.
And that's his name there. She's Eiko's kindly put a, well, you can see it. She's highlighted
Right.
it for.
Yeah, highlight. Yeah, because I found out you can't see my mouse. I was sitting here like clicking around, and then I found out nobody was seeing my mouse that I thought I was using to point. So I'm gonna have to work out how
Yeah.
to do that. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me
So
move.
yes, even though it's not on his IMDb, we did actually go and find it on the credits of the movie.
Okay. So I see Brett saying that Chris met Starbuck. So did Chris work on Deadpool as well? I wonder.
I'm not sure about Deadpool 2. I know he worked on Deadpool 3.
Okay,
But
so he's the one who saw the dog, and then he was involved in Deadpool 3. Is that correct? As an artist?
yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So bring us up to number 10.
So yeah, so that, like I say, they've been talking about this for since 2000 since 2021. I think they've been, yeah, so he says, yeah. So they've been talking and raising complaints, or trying to get some kind of investigation into some of these concerns for a number of years.
Mhm.
As Brett has said, it sounds far-fetched,
Mhm.
but but
But
the
so,
industry
so does this
is so,
whole lawsuit. Go ahead.
the industry is so connected. Everyone knows everyone, and in Canada as well, because all these people are, well, the vast majority of these people, I don't know about Rob McElhaney, but you know, they're all Canadian as well, and
Mhm.
from the same area of Canada.
Oh, okay.
So, and they all have clearly worked with each other. That's evidenced. Um, when I was first told the story, I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure. But as I've
Yeah.
gone through it and I've seen so much of the information, it's made me think, right, okay, do you know what? I think this might actually have some legs. And
Yeah.
especially because at the time we didn't know, Ryan Reynolds had not confirmed Nice Pool. We had just pulled out over 100 Easter eggs, which clearly made it so obvious. But he
Mhm.
hadn't actually said or denied, anything about it at all until obviously quite recently. Um, and there's also the story as well. Without a Crystal Ball has been following a story of a photographer um, who kind of, you know, pointed to Ryan Reynolds the boot of the bonnet of his car and said, "Oh, your wife's gloves are there," and the guy was accused of all kinds of things, running him over and all sorts of things. And Without a Crystal Ball has actually done a really good job of. I think she's spoken to the photographer, got all the
Oh,
evidence,
yeah.
and so they do actually do these things. They are this malicious to people,
Yeah, I
and
saw in
it's
the earlier comments, and I started because I didn't know this story. I deal
yeah,
mostly with the legal documents, and when I get them,
yeah,
I'm like all in, like reading and researching and all this. So I don't have a lot of time for like the more side sort of gossipy stuff. So a lot of these kind of stories I had never heard, but I saw someone asked about it, something about a photographer, and I had
yeah.
clicked on it to save to see if you knew about that story because I didn't know anything about it. But
I did actually watch it. I mean, I don't know it in depth. I might actually. I've been asked to do one of my deep dives on the photographer. Um, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but it's interesting to look at it in comparison because I met Brett. I've never physically met them, but I've been talking to Brett since January when he sort of come and defended me from someone kind of they were putting out a false story about Justin Baldoni being sued by Travis Flores. So I was, because I go, unlike you, I'm mainly here for the legal stuff. I go through the filings, and I'd gone through that that entire lawsuit, and I was sort of saying no, and I'd corrected. And Brett actually came up forward, and he sort of rebutted this guy with the information about the Marilyn Starkloff case against Aviation Gin. And that's when I started talking to him, and I was quite impressed with his knowledge. And then we talked further and further about this, and then I got to know Eiko as well. And I'm normally I wouldn't get involved in this, but they were having a hard time articulating their story. And you see, like, I thought, well, one thing I can do, by this point, I was completely, I believed in their story.
Right.
I'd seen everything that they had to show me, and I'd been walked through it, but they were having a slightly harder time to articulate.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's something I can actually do, is take someone through step by step, the details of this. So that's how I got to this point. But it definitely needs to be told, I think. And obviously now, they have written to the judge, and as a non-party, and we'll see where that goes. But I mean, it's not been sneered by Marvel at the moment either. They've actually contacted Brett and said, they've given him a point of contact to deal with. So that's an update from that letter. But well, we might see something next week. I don't know.
All right.
Yes, so there is an update with this as well. So I think it was back at the end of March, start of April, the Female Composer Safety League, because obviously Eiko is a member of that, and I don't know if it's membership, but obviously as a female composer, she made a complaint to them at the time. They refused to do anything. When Ashley Brianna Eves' story in particular about Dogpool started to gain momentum with her video, they actually reached out to Eiko to discuss the concerns. So there was initially a little bit of dialogue, but they have now shut down the talks. They're not talking anymore, and I believe from what I've just spoken to Eiko before, and before coming here to find out what the update was, and they've actually both been blocked by the vice president.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so that's not helpful at all, really.
No. No, I've put the link up for Brett. He said he will join. You're here? Okay, I don't see. I'm Did you grab the link, Brett? I tried to send it to you on Twitter. Do you see the link in comments? It looked like I couldn't message you on Twitter, so that's what I tried first. Sorry, we'll get.
So, do you want me to mention this?
Oh, there's Eiko too. Yeah, go ahead while we wait. Eiko, you're welcome to join as well.
So this is they're actually putting together their own little documentary about this because they're obviously they're game developers and filmmakers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be. There's a little that little video at the bottom with the dragon is just it's absolutely brilliant. But they will be putting together their own documentary to sort of outline everything. And when that comes out, I've been waiting for a while for it, and I keep sort of pushing them. But I am looking forward to that, and I will be, telling everyone to go and watch it because it will be coming straight from themselves.
Nice.
And they get to showcase their skills as well.
Their game production and music.
Yes, they are.
Do you guys need me to drop the link again? Oh, it's the same documentary as Popcorn Planet or a different one?
They will be in the Popcorn Planet one as well.
Oh, okay. So there's going to be 2.
Yeah. Yes, they're doing their own thing, but they have been invited by Andy to go on Popcorn Planet as well, as a boy. So all of that is coming. That'll be really exciting.
Okay. Okay, so here's where we are. So this is
Yes.
you were talking about that they've actually filed with this current lawsuit case. And
Yes, they have.
okay, so this is what this is. This the part you already talked about? I didn't want to.
I covered it very briefly, but yeah, there's nothing on the docket yet, so you won't see it. But Brett has sent me the tracking of it. It originally went to District 1, so it went to the wrong court, but we diverted it, and it's with the correct court now. But yeah, they've gone and filed the request to Judge Lyman to just preserve any discovery materials that are relevant to their situation, and that includes Nice Pool, Dogpool from the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So yeah, this is I'm really happy, that they're finally they're taking this kind of step.
So this is the letter that was written to Judge Lyman about the situation? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So Brett, okay, do I need to?
Yeah, I think I'm in here now, eh?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, you're here. Welcome,
thanks
Brett.
for bringing me up. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Hi, Leanne. How you doing? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
No, you're not interrupting. Yeah, and Eiko can join as well if she'd like to. But no,
we'll see. She's a bit more shy than I am.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, let's hear whatever you'd like to add to the story.
Not much. Leanne's kind of doing an amazing job. It's just small things like Starbuck was in around set a lot in BC. She was actually in she was in a Chinese film, a couple of their series, but you know what? I'd bring her to set for fittings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Starbuck was actually named after Kitty Sakanoff from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd even bring her set for fittings. Just one time for I think it's Legends of Tomorrow, one of those DC films I shot in BC, because I was in a lot of the superhero stuff. And I was just going up to be a knight, and of course, this is the only studio that wouldn't let me bring her let me bring her in, even though she's a service dog. The guards wouldn't let me bring her in.
Oh, wow.
So I actually had to bring her to makeup trailer, and I just basically begged makeup to watch her. And then Trisha Helfer spins around, I'll take care of that dog. So she actually prevented me from getting fired. So the thing about Starbuck is she was in and around set, and she's a big part of my social media. And so she's a big part of who I was, right? So it's why that kind of conversation is difficult, because, she was my best friend in the entire world.
Oh. So.
And sorry, I don't mean to. Yeah, sorry.
Starbuck has passed away since.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she died almost 3 days after we got married, actually. So at least, she was around to see Eiko and I married. And my family said it's she knew I was safe with Eiko, and I had someone to take care of me so she could relax.
The job was done. I'm so sorry. Now I'm going to start crying.
Yeah, man, she was almost 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, I don't want to steal Leanne's fire because she does such a wonderful job and is so acute. So I just kind of want to. You guys feel free to ask me any questions. It's easier to talk than it is to just type. So.
Oh, okay. So, oh yeah, definitely. So, anybody in the chat, if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. Is there some trouble? I'm sorry, I'm not xenophobia. You guys behave, really. I've never had to have a mod, on my channel before. I was hoping not to have to do that. So, if you guys see something that I missed, because it's hard to keep track of it while I'm trying to concentrate on what's being said. But if you guys see something, please point it out. I don't want anything ugly on here. Okay, that's awful. Okay, all right. So let's catch up. So these documents, can you tell us? There's a lot of writing here. So instead of going through the whole documents, can you give us just a brief outline about what's going on as far as filing this with the case, with the existing case?
Brad, do you want to explain this one? Because sure, is it?
Do we?
Oh, yeah. Are you speaking to me or are you talking to Leanne? Sorry.
Either of you. I was just this document's kind of long, so I didn't want to go through the whole thing here on a live. So I was hoping one of you guys could just kind of give us the basics about what this filing is, real quick.
Yeah, I could probably sum that up fairly quickly. So obviously, we saw Marvel come in with their motion to quash the subpoena from Wayfarer, and basically this is a letter then, because that was sort of confirmation, and we had an idea that they had been subpoenaed for information, but we now had confirmation that was the case and an idea of what was being asked for. So the letter is basically, it lays out in quite a lot of detail some of the backstory, some of the Brett and Eiko's thoughts and everything, and then kind of explains, it makes a request essentially to preserve any relevant discovery that comes from Marvel.
So kind of like what they've asked for as far as Nice Pool. They're kind of requesting the same thing, but like for Dogpool, or
with in anticipation of possible future litigation for themselves.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that was the part that caught my attention, is that documents had been filed in that we're joining with the current lawsuit, and I that's why I really wanted to know more what's going. Yeah, I heard this. That's kind of gross. Maybe she's named. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. Not a name you hear.
Not a common name, is it?
Inez. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to watch the chat. I don't want to miss anything. So there's no. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something like really awful happening here. So it looks okay. All right, good. I normally have the best crew in the whole world. I mean, people have commented about how nice the people are who come to my premieres or just comment on the videos and stuff. I've never ever had a problem. A long time ago, somebody asked if I needed a mod, and I'm like, really, I don't. I've never had anybody be nasty or anything. I've got like the best people come here, so I'm glad it wasn't bad. Keep everybody nice. Okay, so
it's really nice, isn't it, when you have got like a good crowd, actually, because
yeah,
just touching on that, I find myself in a fortunate situation where I've got wonderful people who will keep in touch with me or come and watch my stuff, and I don't think I've had any problems at all, and I am really grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's a super super nice crowd. So the next thing we're going to get into an altogether different topic. So if you had anything left to add, Brett, but thank you very much for joining today. But if anybody has a question for Brett before he goes, or if you want to stick around, or anything else left you want to say, just let me know. And then we're going to move on to a completely different topic. And it's about keeping safe on social media. And the reason we're talking about this today is because of some experiences that some of us have been having lately. And I had hoped that Lauren was going to be able to join us today as well, but she's driving. So safe travels, Lauren, if you're able to listen. But anyway, so last week, or throughout the week, I can't remember.
Sorry, just wanted to, because you guys don't need I just want to tell a quick story and sign off. That's
yeah.
okay if you don't need me.
Sure.
Okay. Like I realize how, I mean, before Baldoni and before Nice Pool, talking about what we've been through was basically near impossible. Most people couldn't understand what's going on.
Yeah, they probably thought
And
that's nuts. It's too unbelievable, right? Yeah.
well, that's what it felt like, honestly. But it just, but here's the thing though, is something that's not really been gotten into yet is that, Eiko's family is really connected in the film industry. Her brother was trained by Nobu. Do you know the chef with Robert De Niro, the big chain, the big celebrity sushi restaurant?
Yes.
Well, he's also for a long time was the only Nobu restaurant in Canada. And so that's out in Newfoundland where Eiko's from. And so you've got Jason, who's at the same agency as Ryan, out there doing a show called Frontier, which is actually about the Red River Métis. Now, I'm not going to get things with Jason, but it was a very short degree of kind of connection. And I think a lot of people who aren't from the Canadian film industry just don't realize how small that circle is here.
Oh, I bet.
Anyways, that's kind of one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to grasp. And that's all I want to say before I take off. But
it's
again,
not like a big old Hollywood. It's
like something like it's only like tens of millions of people in Canada, not hundreds. Like, especially in entertainment, it's so small and it's really connected with any of the American projects that come out. It's a very small group of people and it's a very small, tight-knit community.
Where everybody knows everybody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, since all of this as well, Brett and Eiko have struggled to, work in the industry as well.
Since all this happened?
Since all this has happened.
It's not been a great circumstance, yeah.
Well, I hope something comes of it with your filing. So we'll definitely be watching. It hasn't shown up on the public docket right now, so it's probably just directly to Judge Lyman at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see if it shows up. I followed the rule set to submit to the judge. So,
okay. How long ago was that?
Only a couple days.
Couple days? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully something comes of it. I hope, because it sounds like you guys went through some stuff there.
Yeah, it's not been a picnic. So, anyways, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
It's always great to hear Leanne because she's so sharp, and it's always wonderful to meet you because first time we met. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Okay, have a wonderful day.
You too. Have a good rest of your weekend. Okay.
See you later, Brett.
All right. So this next topic, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but it's just some awareness. So last week, it just blows my mind. So back in 2018, when I first started like my social media and my YouTube, I originally memed a reality TV show, like the only reality TV show I've ever watched in my life. I'd had surgery. I had, a kind of a long and very painful recovery. So I was just like trying to get absorbed into something to keep my mind off of it as I recovered. And I ended up, my sister told me about Danielle on 90 Day Fiance, and I was hooked and I got a little bit obsessed with it. And so I ended up on Reddit, and then just like this crazy situation happened, this someone had invited me into this private chat, and just, I don't even want to like dig it all back out again, but it was nuts. I've never experienced anything like that. Like people trying to dox, just crazy stuff. But I'm a very cautious person by nature. I never had Facebook, never put a public presence of myself out there. So I got away pretty unscathed, but some other people didn't. But anyway, I was like, goodbye to social media, never again. So I deleted my Reddit account. And I just like 2 weeks ago, I told you guys I was trying to come up with different things for people to go to, because I do have a lot of obligations. I can't be on YouTube as much as I'd like to be. And so I know sometimes people are waiting. So I always try to come up with something nice that I find like that you guys can go watch when I'm not here. And I had just said, I'm leery of Reddit, but I found 2 Reddits that I really like. And I did recommend those. It was called Team Justin Baldoni. And the other one is just a funny, like silly one, Blake Lively Snark. And then I was like, stay away from the others. So, so this is one of the others that I didn't name, but one of my crew sends me sends me this message. So I go and I look, and so there's this person, Kat Ortega, who calls themselves, I don't know if it's him or her, calls himself an attorney. Okay. And, but as I started like looking into it more, it just got crazier and crazier. I'm like, what is even happening? So this person says, because someone had posted a link to one of my videos, and the comments are all like super sweet. I was like, oh, it's so nice. Reddit's changed, Well, then this pops up and goes, does Cassidy O'Connell ever say where she practices? I know this came up in her Murdoch coverage when she was seeking out jurors. Very curious about that. When I get sent this, I was just like, what in the world? Because, like I said, I'm a very private person. I have a huge family. I love my family, and I don't want anything that I do on social media to ever come back and hurt someone I love. And after my experience back in 2018, I'm very, very cautious. So I may tell you some little things about my life going on. I will tell you my past work experience, but I will never say, and people ask, and I always feel bad because I'm ignoring the question when people ask certain things. All I will say is I do have a legal background as well as an educational background. Anything else, I'm simply not going to say, because I don't want to be hunted down in real life. As much as I love my crew, and as much as I think everybody here is nice, Cat Ortega people are out there. Now, there is no good reason behind her wanting to know where I am. And it's creepy. I'm like, I don't know who you are. And just for the sake of making it simple, I'm going to say she, because it seems like it's a she, but I don't mean to offend or use an improper pronoun if I'm wrong, but it was disturbing, to see that someone's trying to track you down. So, and when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, I'm not going to address this because I don't know what this person wants, but and then my crew member, like, and you guys don't ever feel like you have to ever defend me like this. I mean, this person was like above and beyond defending me, and I appreciate it, but don't get yourselves in trouble trying to defend me, but so it goes on. So after this initial thing, and then my crew is like, you're wrong for creeping on her like this. This is where I started to get really mad now. Because at first I was like, people are going to be weird. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm not even going to address it. But then this comes up. This creator, talking about me, has a 2-part series with a Murdaugh juror on her channel. That's fine. That's true. I wonder if this juror was paid to help make the content. Now, why are you gonna start casting doubt on someone you don't even know? What the only reason anybody makes a comment like this on social media is to get others talking and to get them suspicious about whoever it is you're talking about. Why would I pay a juror to help me make content? That's a horrible accusation. And I'm sorry, but the second she said something like this, I was like, you are not an attorney, because an attorney knows better. They would never start making these kinds of accusations or insinuations. What does got a lot of help from Cassidy with her writing mean? Was the juror watching or in touch with Cassidy before or during the trial? And then we have these middle school red flags, like just to attract the eye, so people are like, oh, what's the red flag? What's going on? And then a link to my channel, I'm assuming that's to my, because I interviewed a juror from the Murdaugh case, and we'll get to that. Then it gets creepier. Look at this. There aren't any lawyers named Cassidy O'Connell in California. All right, crew, when did I ever say that I'm from California? Never, right? No lawyers on LinkedIn or top Google searches by that name. This creep is out there trying to find me, which is exactly why I choose to stay as anonymous as I can and don't tell people too much about me. Not because of my crew, but because of people like Kat Ortega. So, and then it gets, I think it would be great if she were more public about practicing in Florida, says the person hiding on Reddit. What she actually does, so people can evaluate her commentary accordingly. And then my crew had told them, I'm glad, or said that they had forwarded, had let me know about this. I'm glad you reached out to her, and I look forward to her response. I'm sorry, this is creepy. Let's talk about this juror. Okay. Another big reason that I stay off camera and all that. Sorry, I'm getting upset. So I got to sip my tea real quick. Hold on. My throat's getting dry. Let me mute for a second. So a lot of you are new since I started covering this case with Blake Lively. But before that, and my main stories on here was about the Alex Murdaugh murder case. I'm not sure how much you guys know about him, but he's from a very powerful family, multi-generations of powerful people, still has a lot of family there. Other people besides family helps them have this power. They are able to get police and state police to help them with situations. His grandpa was the kind of man that he was the solicitor of the place, which is kind of like a district attorney, but a bigger area. It's in the more rural places. But he was known to have been able to make problematic people to the family disappear. So when I started to do this, my parents were like, this is too scary. And so I promised them that I would never go on camera, never reveal anything that could possibly come back to the family. This is my promise to my parents. So if I were just covering stuff like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But, I covered scary people. I talk about bad senators. And whatever my reasons are, I have a right to my privacy. And it's just so creepy that this person, is doing this. Now, the juror, I didn't even start reporting on the case until the trial was over. After the murder trial was over, which is where this juror came from, the actual murder case, I got involved in the financial crimes. Because what I said, and I said it in a lot of my first videos, we all know Alex Murdaugh's name, but do we know the names of his victims? So from my very first video, and you can go back and see, I started telling the story in chronological order of the people that he had stolen from and the lives that he ruined. And then from there, I just went on and kept following. Like there's so many side quests to these, you know, they're still going on. And he was convicted of the murder in 2021. Yeah, Lara, Jill, you guys know, you've been with me for all of this. So the juror, years after the murder trial, she wrote a book. It came out last year, and the murder trial was in 2021. The co-author would come to my videos, and she contacted me, and we would chat. And then in the end, I ended up reading the Audible. I was the narrator for the Audible version of the book that was written years after the trial, to the people I talked to years after the trial. And when she was doing her book tour and going around different channels on YouTube, she's been on TV multiple times. She was on my channel twice to be interviewed about her book. There was nothing that anybody did wrong, not the juror, not the co-author, and not me. And it just sickened me that a person would do this to try to discredit me or make me seem suspicious, or like I had done something, like I paid a juror and was in touch with her during a murder trial. You know, what is the reasoning behind doing something like this to someone you don't even know? It's crazy and it's creepy. So then this is the crew person, and they're like full on blazing sirens going, this person says they're a lawyer, and then you know, kind of fighting. And again, you know, guys, don't ever feel like you have to do this. And then this cat person's like, oh, I never try to dox anyone. And that's been confirmed through Reddit on multiple occasions. Really? How has that been confirmed on Reddit, that you've never tried to dox anyone? You can't prove a negative. You should know that if you're an attorney. So then she starts saying, oh, you know, I just ask about creators' credentials, and it's not sick to wonder whether a law tuber. Another thing I've never, yes, she did write a novel. This person is disturbed. But let me get back to, I've never called myself a law tuber. You know, I've never made any claims about who I am or what I do. I bring information and share it with you guys. Stuff that I find interesting, I put it out there, and some people enjoy it, you know, and we get to enjoy it together, and it's fun and it's light, and it's always been great. And now here's this person, you know, for no reason. I don't even know who this person is. It's just crazy. And then here's my crew again, you know, who or what has Cassidy claimed to be? And someone else chimed in, Cassidy's never pretended to be a lawyer, and then talked about, because I've talked about in my past, I was a director of a school. And you know, I just talked about that a couple weeks ago. That's all in the past. And then she starts to get most of Cassidy's elevation on Reddit, whatever that's supposed to mean, is as though she's a lawyer and expert on California law. Guys, I don't even understand. I don't understand this. I talk about California law when I'm talking about, you know, when it comes up in the case. I talk about New York law when it comes up in the case. When I talk about murder, I talk about South Carolina law. I reported on a woman who was killed by her husband in Texas. And if I talk about her, I talk about Texas law. You know, this is the way it is, you know, and it doesn't mean that I'm pretending that I'm practicing in all these states. I've never made a single claim about myself, except that I have an educational background and I have a legal background. What that is,
Just
yeah.
sorry, I was going to say, because I find I find that her need for your credentials, and I think she's also done it to not actually Golden as well. But
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
I'm I, I'm qualified in British law, in the UK law, which is England and Wales. It's not even Scotland. But we're
are
covering
you
this
on
case.
LinkedIn? No, I'm kidding. Kidding. I'm sorry. I'm being smart
No, but covering this case, we
now.
are talking in New York, in California, and in Texas law.
Right.
We don't have to. We don't have to be admitted to any of them.
Exactly. And in my videos, when I talk about these things, I've, when I get, there are some actual, people who call themselves law tubers, and they get on and they will, like, on the spot pull out the document and go over it for the first time. And I don't operate like that.
Yeah.
If I know I'm going to talk about a law in California, I look it up for you guys. I get a screenshot of it and I put it up there so that you see, this is what the law actually says. It's not coming from me. This is coming from California law or whatever it is. But but yeah, it just, and then I won't share these because these are third hand. But so this crew member of mine who's having this conversation with her, during this conversation, she gets flooded with messages from other Redditors who are sending her messages like, oh, she did this to me. She asked for my credentials. She stalked me. This woman has stalked people. She also is, like, very into Bravo. And I don't know what else. And I don't know, like, if it's a specific show on Bravo. I didn't go hunting it all down, but I saw some of the screenshots, and but stalked this poor woman, found her on Twitter, and saw some of the, like, the woman has a couple of Birkin bags, and she was wanting to buy a Cartier watch. Now, I'm not going to pick a fight with someone that's got 2 Birkins and is going to buy a Cartier watch, but she got that information, and for some reason that upset her. And then she takes it back to Reddit and says the lady's name in real life and starts talking about her bags and her, the watch that she's going to buy, and I'm like, no, this is, you're doxing if you're saying her name, because she's not using her name on Reddit and you are. So what is that? So you are not an attorney, at least in my opinion. But then, and then, there were other attorneys that she's questioned, wants to know their credentials. She's, I don't know if she's being paid to do this, and she's collecting information to try to shut down the ones who are trying to speak out. But or if it's just an illness, I don't know what's going on. But just a reminder about being careful who you talk to and who you give your personal information to out there, because and over Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, you're gonna hunt us down because you don't like our stance on something that doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, this case doesn't matter. Like I said, I was in the Murdaugh thing because there are bits to that story that really matter. There are voices that needed to be heard, stories that needed to be told, people whose lives were forever, irreparably changed for the worse. There's a conspiracy case that's actually picking up again. A judge has been reassigned to it. So my Murdaugh people out there, the conspiracy case that Mark Tinsley's handling for, she's Blake. That must be it. It's Blake. But that's coming back. And now this is like a serious situation. There was a young, beautiful girl. Not that it matters that she was beautiful, but she was beautiful. She was killed in a boat crash by the Murdaugh's son, the one was killed by his father. So they were suing the Murdaugh family a bunch of other things, but the important part of it was the service station that sold Paul the alcohol that he got drunk on underage and caused the boat crash. So the guy who owns that owns so many, he's a billionaire, and instead of facing it, he hired people to do a real smear campaign, not like this fake one Blake's talking about. We're talking about legit. And I mean, it gets deep and it gets crazy. And you want to talk about, like, Brett, I think I saw Brett still here. Just like Brett's story, like nobody could believe it because it sounded, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is that same thing. When poor Mark Tinsley, the attorney, first started telling people, they're like, oh, that's crazy. And there's connections in London. And there's an ex-military FBI director of counterterrorism. I mean, I'm working on the story in the background, but I need a lot of information because I want to portray it correctly. But anyway, why did I get on that topic? I completely lost my place. But yeah, because in the scheme of things, that was important because what they ended up doing is attacking these people who were victims. They got a hold of Mallory's death photos. She is thrown out of the boat. They find her body 8 days later in South Carolina. So even in the winter, it's warm, and there were official photos from the police, from DNR, and of this young deceased girl. They get a hold of it and they get all of this information and they put it in a documentary. And for what they call the sizzle reel, which is like the trailer to get people to come watch this, they have those photographs. Her parents are still reeling from losing their daughter, and she has a sister, and they're like, they can't even go on YouTube because they never know when that's going to pop up. I mean, they are just devastated by this whole thing. And come to find out, it's this man who owns the place that the liquor was bought from. And instead of facing it, he does hires this whole smear campaign. And he had 3 different private eyes. And like I said, one of them is former FBI counterintelligence. He gets this blogger from that blogs about the Middle East. The story gets absolutely insane. But this is what I'm talking about. It felt like those were like really important stories to tell. And that was like the purpose of my channel. But yikes. Sorry, excuse me for just a second.
Are you okay, Cassidy?
But my crew knows that I lost a cousin. And another one. Sorry. There were 4 of us that were all born. Sorry. We were all born the same year. And we were all close. And now there's 2 of us. And it was awful. It was just really hard. And so I took a little time off and I thought I'll get myself together, in a couple weeks. And I couldn't, and because the nature of the cases that I was dealing with the Murdoch case, I mean, there's murder. I also covered 3 different women who were killed by their husbands. I just couldn't. I couldn't deal with anything to do with death, so, but time was passing and I was just like not doing anything with it. And so this case came along and I just like, it just attracted me for some reason. I've never covered anything like this, never been interested in anything like this. And it was like, this is great. This just takes my mind off of it. And, it's nobody died, I can do this. So I didn't expect to I thought it was going to be like a couple of weeks and then we get to discovery. And then by then I would be like ready to go back to what I normally do. And, but now I'm just like full on wrapped up in this case. So, but, in the grand scheme of things, this case is really, it's not gonna, it's terrible for Justin and his family. And I think that's what gets me going is like I hate seeing, just like with the Murdaugh, the powerful, rich that get everything they want and they're able to just squash the little guy and walk all over everybody. That's the kind of stuff that just ticks me off. So I think that's what attracted me so much to this case. But I can't imagine people who have no skin in this game. It's a Hollywood gossip story and they're going to be out here like going real life on people, trying to track people down, trying to find out who they are, trying to bring trouble into their life over Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I don't understand it. But like this, I don't know if you guys watch, I've seen her a few times when someone will like repost on Instagram. I don't have TikTok, and I wish she would come to YouTube, and because I love her stuff. But she's a brilliant attorney, and she also, she does show her face, but she doesn't put her name out there. Her husband is an attorney as well, and her insight is amazing. And yeah, if you guys have TikTok, or if you ever get a chance to see her, she's definitely worth a watch. But look what's happened to her. Leanne showed me this today. So Leanne, what was it that happened with this?
Yeah, so my I think it was my honorary legal assistant, Ludwig the Sniffing Dog on X. He sent me this and he said, "What do you think of this? It sounds like there's a problem here." And basically, when I had a look, and I went to actually Golden's TikTok, and quite a few of her videos. Initially, we thought it was just ones that covered the Van Zandt lawsuit and subpoena, but there are actually a few other ones as well. They've all been muted.
So,
yeah, they've just been muted. Now someone has contacted, not actually Golden, and from the response, she has not done this herself. So she's looking into what's happened as well. But I was confused. Why? Because her like you said, her analysis is absolutely great. But she is just straight on the law. She doesn't seem to me. I can't find any videos where she's had an opinion on or shown any kind of being pro Blake, pro Justin. She's been kind of straight down the middle and just saying the law as the law is, and that is that, and giving an opinion on what she thinks is going to happen legally. But it looks like possibly, something is going on where her videos are being muted. So people can play them. She's still there. She's being silent. You can't hear her.
It's crazy.
It is. Huh.
And then Lauren, I wanted to have Lauren on today, but like I said, she's driving. She had people try to find out where she worked. They wanted to come after her job.
Yeah, that was bad as well. That was.
Isn't that crazy? It's just
mental.
I'm like, what? I never understand that. Like, even, I don't get it very often, but I do from time to time. Like, somebody comes along and just leave something nasty in the comments, and I'm always like, do you feel better now? Like, did that make your day that you got to just go be mean to an absolute stranger? Because for me, like, if I'm looking for something, if I don't like what I see on the screen, I don't even do a thumbs down. I just scroll on until I find what I want to see. So
Yeah.
it's just absolutely I don't understand. Like, why do you want to just be mean to somebody for no reason? But this
I,
this
I
oh,
completely share that sentiment as well. I mean, just like just kind of quickly, but I mean, I don't go on camera either for the same reasons you do.
mhm,
I've got, I was married for 10 years. It was incredibly abusive and controlling. So my name is there. There's a photo of me, but I've still got a lot of confidence to find. And I'm kind of come in to fill a gap because I was hoping to watch, the law tube that was there during the Depp heard, but they weren't covering it. So I kind of just started to break down a few things and thought, it just kind of picked up and people liked it. So I'm here I am now. But
mm,
there are too many people who I don't know why they go on this crusade almost to tear someone down who's just trying to have an opinion and share it, or like us, you know like I said, we don't need to be admitted to any particular states to explain the law. We're
right.
here, our skills are we can read the law. I could read the law in whatever country it is because I know how to read the law. I'm sure that is the same for you and for most other lawyers. But we're here, we're doing our best. We're not always gonna have the same opinion. We're not going to interpret everything the same, but that's what it's like in real life as well. And I don't understand why there is a need to find out everything about someone to
Mm-mm.
dock them. I
It,
don't get it, and I'm really sorry for what you went through as well. Thank you for sharing
oh,
that.
oh, it's okay. I know they're probably after you too. But I wanted to bring out because after you said that about not actually golden, when I was doing my
Yeah.
research about Ryan and Blake's their career along the way, I remembered that I came across this for his soccer team, Wrexham. TikTok is one
Yes.
of their big sponsors. In fact, in the beginning, I think it's different now. I think it might be United Airlines is on the jersey, but originally it was TikTok. So that's the first thing that came to my head when she was being muted on TikTok. I'm like, I bet you anything
Mm.
this is why, because it just seems so strange. She doesn't she's so professional when she speaks. I can't imagine that she broke any kind of rule that would make them mute her for any good reason other than somebody didn't like what she had to say. And
Yeah.
it's just sad. But well, I don't want to keep you
And then,
guys. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, but then, where does that going to leave us? Because we both covered this in quite a lot of depth. So
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. But
it's worrying, that this is, if it is a thing, it's quite a worrying state of a situation to be in where, legal commentators are kind of
going to be
being shut
silenced.
down. Yeah, or this with like with people like the Cat Ortegas of the world, and I had
Yeah.
my own issues with Without Crystal Ball, where she was going around sort of trying to discredit me because I don't understand US law because I'm British. So,
Oh,
but it is worrying that when you've got people. She did apologise, by the way, so
oh,
we're
that's good.
good. But um, it is worrying though when you do kind of get these people who come, they try to discredit you, or they try and find out where you are. Why do they need to know where you are? What are they
Right.
going to do with that information?
Right. Because I mean,
Uh,
I'm it's one of the great things about like when you stay anonymous, you could say whatever you want. I don't have to be
exactly.
I don't have to be partial. I am not partial. I am very opinionated when I'm on here, whether it's with the Murdochs or
Yeah.
this, or the guys out there who think it's okay to kill their wives. I it's I share my opinion very, very freely. And, I'm not I didn't even know who Justin Baldoni was before all of this. It's not like I'm a diehard Justin Baldoni fan. It's like I'm a justice fan and I see a
Yeah.
big guy picking on a little guy, and it may turn out when the actual trial comes and something comes up, and I don't want to have to like be like, well, I've defended this man for, because I don't know him. He seems like a great guy, but I'm all
Yeah.
about like fairness, and calling out like that sham lawsuit they used. I hate corruption amongst, especially
Oh,
if
no,
it's
yeah.
the police or the government or attorneys. That would really get me going, so, but I
No,
want to be able to speak in
got,
freeness.
yeah.
So, it's just, yikes. This whole
If
thing is
you've
just,
got a good case, you do not need to be pulling, I keep saying this, but I really stand by it as well. Like, and, you do not need to be breaking rules. If you're confident in your case, you should not need to be doing that. But I'm the same as you. I will, when I'm speaking about the law, I will say it as I see it. I have said when I think one of the lively filings is good, Leslie Sloan's lawyer, I've complimented her.
yeah,
I
Leslie
will tell
Sloan's attorney is good.
she is good,
I don't like
and
to
she's
say
done some
that.
very good. No, I don't like to say, but it is true. She did some wonderful work for the Epstein victims, and she did it for
Mhm.
free as well, and that was a lot of money's worth of work. So I'll credit and say, oh, actually they've written this nicely, or they've argued this well, and I will be straight down the middle. But I would also make no secret of the fact that I am, having read everything, and I did know of Justin Baldoni before. Um, I am Team Baldoni as it stands. I'm open to changing that if something comes up, that supports that. But I would have expected to see it by now as well. So
Exactly. I mean, they've got ex-CIA working on it, and the best they can come up with is that he's what did they call it?
toxic positive.
Yeah, toxic positivity. I'm like, that's the worst you could come up with. We've got millions of little clips of Blake and Ryan, but that's all they can come up with on him. That to me,
That's
that
all
seems
they
a
could come
lot.
up with.
You don't start this behavior this late in the game, and you certainly wouldn't. I would think you wouldn't. I've heard this said, and I thought it was brilliant. Why would you pick Blake Lively to be the first person that you target to harass? And
Yeah,
when I read that, like, that makes so much sense. People who are in this, like, looking for victims, they usually, after I read that, I'm like, I kept thinking about it. It's so true. They look for vulnerable people, the little people that they can get away with, and then they might get more and more brazen as time goes on. But imagine starting it when you're like 40 and you start with, someone who's married to one of the, biggest known
biggest
faces
names.
out there. Yeah, that would just,
Yeah,
that makes so much sense to me when I read that. But
that makes no. You see that? Yeah, you're right. That I mean, from a power, because harassment is about a power dynamic, and that is integral to harassment. For me, it was the claim about the actor that played the OBGYN. That it literally took me 30 seconds to, you know, work out that that was a lie.
oh yeah,
That was he was a,
and I
it took no effort at all.
yeah, I feel bad for their wives. I've said that so many times, but it just really
Yeah,
bothers me, all of them. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to that rule because it's the second time, I'm
yeah,
gonna have to stop myself from going in and peeking to see if this cat is at it again. But somebody needs to get her under control because I saw her straight up dox that woman and like stalk, like know from her Twitter what her possessions are and what her name is. It's just wrong.
yeah. It is
But
definitely.
well, thank you so much, Leanne, for joining me today and for bringing
Oh,
that story, because I didn't know the story, and I'm working on. I've got the script written and it's recorded, but I've got to finish editing it for something else. So it's to try to catch up with these files. It's the Marvel file
yeah,
and the answer, and then also the motion to compel and the answer. And I was hoping to get those done this weekend because I'm sure on Monday we're going to probably hear something from the judge about these things. And I'm like, then I'll be behind. So I didn't have the time to dive into this story, and I saw that you had already like set it up. So I'm like, oh, just ask Leanne to tell it, and I can work on my
yeah. And
thing.
I will be because I do like on Mondays. I normally do like a recap video, on my
Mhm.
channel, my YouTube channel. I've only just started it, so there's not much there at the moment. But so I will tomorrow. Like I'll have my recap for everything that happened last week. But on Tuesday, I am putting out like a bonus where I'm gonna because I was so nervous. I was like, oh, stumbling over myself and trying to remember things but I've got a proper like a recorded one coming out on Tuesday for
Mm.
anyone who's interested, which it'll be, all better and more succinct than me here now.
Oh,
But
no,
thank
you
you for having
good.
me. And I know that you've not had guests before, so I'm
Yeah, this is
incredibly
my
honoured.
first time.
I think this has been the collaboration everyone's wanted with your voice and my accent.
Well, thanks for making it happen.
Oh,
And
it's been a
oh, Leanne,
pleasure.
do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I do.
Oh,
I have to find it
oh,
because
okay.
I'm not organised. It's Leanne Newton 1572.
Leanne, okay. I'll you know what? I'll get it from you on Twitter and then I'll post it in comments.
Oh, thank you.
That's
Yeah,
what
it's in my bio on Twitter actually. So
Oh, okay. I tried to click on that earlier and it didn't go anywhere. So I don't know.
oh, I'll have to find out what's going on then.
Yeah. Oh, it got
But yeah,
shut. Yeah.
I will send that to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much. Sorry, I went a little sideways there for a minute today. Just,
No, you're good.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks, crew. Thanks so much. Thanks, Leanne. And thanks, Brett, if you're still around. Thank you so much. And
Right,
I'll
take
see you
care.
soon. Stay well and stay tuned.